What's going on, YouTube? What's going on, fishing junkies? Guys who live at home, married men, guys on the road, anybody who enjoys fishing. I've got a tad bit of information for you guys that probably most don't consider when changing out your tornado treble hooks on certain baits that are, very balanced for the application, either suspending or slow rise, slow sink, what have you. So there's a couple things that I do that probably most don't do. Is, as you guys know, let me shift this around so y'all can see, is what I do is I go through the gram scale. The gram scale doesn't lie. The kilograms, however you want to look at it. Whatever you guys have, it's kind of important. So what I do is, like, when I'm changing out my hooks for very specific baits, for example, or if I'm trying to get maximum action out of the bait, depending on the type of the situation, whatever it is. I'm gonna use this one for example. These look like, to me, like almost like number sixes. It's kind of like in between number 6 and number 4. So what I'll do is I'll go ahead and go to my tornado trebles. I'll get the number 6s and I'll get the number 4s, and then I'll put it through the gram on the scale right here. And what it does is it'll kind of let me know how close I am in kilograms, whether, just trying to keep as close as I possibly can to the weight from the manufacturer. That's one thing good about the tornado trebles. They have a wide variety, a number 1, a number 2, a number 4, a 6, and an 8. And they even have some aughts, some bigger ones for your bigger baits, your bigger glide baits, things like that. So that's what I do. I go through all my baits, especially balsa fishing in the wintertime. I like to be very specific on the weight. It does make a big difference, just the way the action of the bait and things like that, because you don't want to compromise the bait by putting on a 4 on a DT4 or DT6. You just don't want to do that, because it's going to really have it's going to kill the action of the bait. It's going to make it sink more, get you hung up, especially if you're fishing shallow or whatever. So it's very important to actually pay attention to the size of the hook. Now, however, if you guys are trying to have a bait suspend, or actually a bait sink, or get down a little bit deeper, especially if you're using a live scope or whatever whatever their other versions are, you guys can manipulate the bait just from actually maybe increasing the size of the hook to the next one, so it's not really compromising the integrity of the bait, but it's causing it to sink a little bit faster, and it still has a decent movement with it. So the gram scale is very important. I mean, I'll go through and when I'm changing up my hooks, I just try to make sure it's within a half a kilogram of the original standard hooks, unless I'm trying to manipulate the bait to go sinker or rise or suspend differently. So I'll use the hooks versus actually using lead strips. I think the hooks for these days are everything's done in a machine, and they're chemically sharpened. Most hooks are these days, and I don't think there's much variance in the grams or the kilograms of the weights, plus or minus a half to 1 kilogram. But it's just trying to find that happy medium, that the action of the bait is not compromised. So that's the whole thing. I just wanted to get and do this show real quick. And again, I do use this just about every time, changing out the hooks if I'm very unfamiliar with how that bait operates. And also what I do too is I have a tank test. I'll put it through a tank test, see how it's floating, see how it's suspending, and things like that. So if I have to modify, maybe change the hooks going up or down, or maybe add an extra O-ring, or maybe even a lead strip or something, just to try to give it where I need it to be. So all right, guys, well, tight lines to you, and we'll see y'all on the peace side.